We want to build a platform where independent agent developers can upload their own agents. After they upload, we can help them monetize their agents and also evaluate their agents. This evaluation framework allows companies to more easily discover which agent fleets are more suitable for them. After finding suitable agent fleets, they can let these agent fleets complete their tasks. After completion, they need to evaluate this agent fleet. We distribute rewards based on the contribution of each agent within it. And this reward definitely comes from the company. After the company provides the reward, we then use our evaluation system to determine how many rewards each agent will receive. And then this reward is automatically given to the independent agent developer. It's essentially a model like this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Stephen Data Talk. I am the host of this podcast, Stephen. Today, we are honored to have AI engineer Nan Xiao join us to talk about her project and her work experience with AI agents. Okay, Nan Xiao, welcome to my podcast. First, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Xiao Nan. I am currently studying statistics at Columbia University in New York, and now I'm also working as an AI engineer at a startup. I mainly work on an agents evaluation framework. Before this, I also interned at another YC-backed AI startup, and I was mainly working on AI agents.
As everyone knows, AI agents, basically, if you look at AI news now and the projects everyone is doing, a lot of it is related to AI agents. In the actual process of building AI agents, I believe there must be many challenges. I also saw you have an open source project called Sammo. Regarding Sammo, what was your initial concept for it, and what kind of product did you want to build it into?
It's a company. Actually, this company was founded quite recently. It was founded in March of this year. At that time, the CEO of the company found me. He contacted me proactively on Douyin and scheduled a meeting with me. He told me he wanted to build a very large blueprint. He said he wanted to connect all the agents. Right now, many agent developers are building agents, but these agents are not interconnected. There isn't a channel that can connect them. And another thing is, there isn't a unified evaluation benchmark to evaluate these agents, including their group outcome and the contribution of each individual agent within it. There's no unified evaluation model for this. So what we want to do is we want to build a platform. And on this platform, independent agent developers can upload their own agents. After they upload, we can monetize their agents and also evaluate their agents. For companies, it's like they can search for agent fleets, just like using Google. Browse. For example, if they are in supply chain, they can type supply chain into our search bar. And then, based on our evaluation algorithm, we will rank the fleets with high evaluation scores at the top and those with low evaluation scores at the bottom. This way, our evaluation framework allows companies to more easily discover which agent fleets are more suitable for them. After finding suitable agent fleets, they can let these agent fleets complete their tasks. After completion, they need to evaluate this agent fleet, and their evaluation will also use our agent evaluation framework. This agent evaluation framework can provide a relatively objective evaluation score. We distribute rewards based on the contribution of each individual agent within it. And if an agent's contribution is large, its reward will be higher. And if an agent is just a free rider in the group, its reward will be low. And this reward, of course, comes from the company. After the company provides the reward, we then use our evaluation system to determine how many rewards each agent will receive. And then this reward is automatically given to the independent agent developer. It's essentially a model like this.
Can I understand it this way? It's like the constructor of the agent, for example, the enterprise, right? They will proactively construct this agent. They will give an evaluation, and then you guys will also do an evaluation on the back end, and then combine them to get an overall rating. Is that right?
The company will definitely have its own evaluation criteria. They can upload the context. For example, they can upload a PDF or something similar to our platform. Then we will use RAG to analyze this context and integrate this context into our evaluation framework.
So using RAG, as we all know, there are many benchmarks for evaluating large models now. So for your agent orchestration, as you just said, you have some benchmarks for evaluation. So for example, if two different companies, maybe from two different industries, you allow them with their customized needs for agents, they can propose different benchmarks, right?
Right, right. They definitely. For example, supply chain and healthcare. Their evaluation criteria will definitely be different. They have their own unique context. And this context, whether it's a PDF or an SQL database, they can upload it to our platform. After uploading, we use RAG to understand this context and integrate it into our evaluation framework.
I see that some research directions and some projects working on agents are trying to use these agents to simulate some real life or real work workflows. For example, like an agent's, like the concept of this agent's environment. These agents might become, for example, an API, a virtual colleague, or different kinds of digital ecosystems. So for your platform, have you considered this aspect in your design?
The big blueprint we are considering is that we want to create a world of AI agents. It's like every AI agent is an entity within it. Every AI agent is an entity. And in this world, they can freely interact with each other. Just like in a massively multiplayer online game, everyone in this world can interact autonomously. This is also what makes us different from the mainstream like MCOP and Google's, because MCOP has a central brain that coordinates all these agents. For example, if I am an agent and you are an agent and I want to talk to you, I first have to ask the central brain if I can talk to you. Then I need approval from the central brain before I can talk to you. But what we envision is decentralized, meaning, for example, I'm an agent and you are an agent. My ID is given to me by myself, based on the evaluation parameters. I have my own evaluation score, and you also have your own evaluation score. And this score is based on your past agent performance. Your ID is your own. It's not assigned by a central brain. And if I want to connect with you, I just need to find you in this world and connect with you. There's no need for a central brain or anything like that. It's all decentralized.
I want to ask seriously, for example, in a decentralized situation, if you have a central brain, the central brain might have some guardrails, for example, security considerations. Those might be integrated into the central brain. But if it's decentralized, how do you ensure that, for example, the communication between agents is secure and doesn't exceed the safety boundaries?
This uses some encryption algorithms. My mentor he works on cybercrystal. His postdoctoral research was in this area. Because he's a mathematician, he has research in this field. So he uses some of the encryption algorithms he researched before to encrypt this.
I see you have a background in research on one hand and an engineering background on the other. So in the process of working on this project, what do you think is the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is researching from 0 to 1. You're building a product from 0 to 1. And at the beginning, you know nothing. You are just working towards this one goal. For example, I used UMAP and HDBS scan. The next week, you might find that PCA is better. So you stop using UMAP and switch to PCA. One time, we tried to use a neural network to fit the entire evaluation framework, trying to improve its performance. But we found that after training the neural network, it was the same as not training it. The accuracy after training was similar to the accuracy before training, both around 60-something%. So that means it's pretty much the same whether you have it or not. What's the difference then? So we just abandon it. So this is a research process. You are constantly exploring the boundaries, but big companies are different. Big companies have a very mature workflow. You just need to follow their workflow. But this is different. There is no ready-made workflow for you. You have to explore it yourself. What methods can you use? What methods can't you use? For visualization, we previously used UMAP and HDBS scan. Then we found it didn't work well. So we used PCA. Then we found PCA still wasn't great. So we switched to PLS regression. And the visualization results from PLS regression were quite good. So we kept using it. It means you have to constantly go through trial and error. You have to constantly try, and then you can get a relatively good result. There isn't a mature flow to rely on.
indeed, in the actual process of doing projects, you find many differences, right? It's not the same as learning a technique in school. Speaking of evaluation, I see you keep emphasizing evaluation, and I also think evaluation assessment is very important. For example, on the model side, there are many benchmarks. As for agents, I see many framework companies. They also say we have our own evaluation for agents, but often it feels like it's hard to standardize. My feeling is, has research in this area been overlooked for a long time? What are your thoughts on this?
It's hard to standardize because we also used to think it couldn't be standardized. Previously, our company CEO said we needed vertical benchmark systems for every industry. Later, we first made a proof of concept, a multi-agent resume evaluation. That example was to evaluate resumes. We built a multi-agent system and then evaluated that system. After we finished that example, we found we could generalize it into something that can evaluate any agent. There is a general solution. If you need context, you just let the company upload their own context. It's like after you upload that PDF, you have the context. It will draw what it needs from a knowledge base. It's like having a knowledge base. It's like an open book exam. You can query the knowledge base and then answer the question. This way, when it answers, it will be based on that context. So in the end, when your RAG assesses the final result, is it a qualitative result or a quantitative result?
Quantitative. Quantitative. So that means you also have some benchmark metrics, and it will tell you the value of each metric, and it goes through this pipeline to give a final result, right?
There are 7 metrics, and each metric is based on some mathematical formulas. Some of the formulas we invented ourselves, but we don't know if they work well. This requires research, requires testing. We have to do some controlled variable experiments. For example, I modify one agent's prompt and keep the other agents unchanged. Then we put both groups into the test and see if the evaluation framework runs as we expected. We still need to do some experiments because these formulas were all invented by us. And we don't know if they are any good.
This experiment process must be, rather arduous, right? You have to do many, many experiments to reach a reliable conclusion. We talked before about Remy, your mentor, and he gave you some inspiration, for example, about elegant design. Did that change your understanding of software engineering? Do you have new perspectives on design or work?
I think he is really nice. What's good is I feel we match well. He also comes from a math background, and he taught himself computer science. I feel his way of thinking is similar to mine because we both studied math. It's like this. Previously, I used Claude to generate code. Although I wrote the requirements and everything very, very detailed, I wrote a very, very detailed prompt, but maybe code generation is just not that strong right now. Or maybe our project is too complex and it couldn't understand the context. Anyway, it generated an extremely complicated, messy piece of code, and when I ran it, the result wasn't very good. The result didn't achieve what we wanted. Also, I couldn't even understand the code. I couldn't explain what each part of his code was doing because it wrote something extremely complex, that Claude. Then Remy said, "You can't write it like that." And he rewrote it for me. We were probably in a meeting for 4 or 5 hours. Basically, he was writing the whole time. Sometimes he would ask me, how should this part be designed, or something. He would ask me a bit about the design, but he was basically the one writing. After he finished writing, I felt it was so clean, much better than the previous one. And I think his was only about 1,000 lines. The previous one was like 3,000 or 4,000 lines. And that 3,000, 4,000 line version couldn't even achieve the functionality, which he implemented in 1,000 lines. I thought it was amazing. The key is I could understand it because every function and all was very clear. What each function does, he explained everything very clearly. After he explained it clearly to me, I basically learned by myself when writing code. Later, he asked me to add things to his code, like analysis or something. For that stuff, I just read his code myself and added statements to his code. I didn't use Claude anymore.
Actually, the code written by Claude is still a bit too complex. Recently, Karpathy mentioned in a podcast, he doesn't do web coding now, not pure web coding. Autocomplete isn't useful, but he still handles the main framework himself. He recently did a project, that Nano GPT. I feel that pure AI coding, its limit is messy code. I've experienced it once. For small demos, it's fine, but for a serious, scalable project, you still can't rely on it completely. The difference is too big, and we have to use our own company's SDK. It probably can't understand that much context. It's like if it used other mature SDKs, for example, if it used LangChain or CrewAI, which are in its call knowledge base, if it's in its knowledge base, it might write more smoothly. But the problem is our own SDK isn't in its knowledge base, so it probably can't understand how our SDK works. That's why it just can't write it. I also have this feeling. The data used in the pre-training phase is actually very important. This isn't something you can solve later with reinforcement learning or by using RAG. Something it hasn't learned, if you try to force feed it, it really can't produce any miracles.
Where it falls short of humans is that it cannot innovate. And I think its ability to understand complex projects is far inferior to humans. If it writes simple things like leak code problems, it's definitely faster than humans. 10 humans probably couldn't beat it.
Ha 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 ha. There's an open source project now, an open source benchmark called AGI. For that project, I've played the games in it. The game design is such that a human, having never seen the game before, can learn how to play it in a short time and beat it. But this is extremely difficult for large models. So indeed, we still have a long way to go to reach AGI. And I don't even know. Even the definition of AGI, people can't completely agree on.
True. AGI, it feels like it will take another 10 or 20 years.
You worked at that YC company before, right? It was called Epsilon? Worked there. The Epsilon story. Worked there. So what experiences from that have helped you now at Sammo?
That definitely helped because at the time, the boss saw on my LinkedIn that I had this work experience at Epsilon, and that's why he proactively reached out. That's one thing. Another thing is I was actually doing more of a marketing-oriented job, mainly helping him write content for his AI agent use cases. This content was for his website because the content on his website at the time, it felt like it wasn't written very well. It was too technical and non-technical users couldn't understand it. So my job was to write context for AI agent use cases using some AI tools like cameras or Canva and tools like that to generate a workflow, to make it look clearer, easier to understand, and also creating small demos, also to put on his website, just to let all kinds of users understand what this AI agent was actually doing.
My understanding is that you translated the project into a language everyone could understand. If you were standing on the user side now, what evaluation criteria do you feel are most important for evaluating an agent? Is it accuracy or collaboration ability?
For users, I think accuracy is the most important. Collaboration is secondary. If the job is too big and one agent really cannot complete it, then you need collaboration. If one agent is powerful enough to handle this entire job and its accuracy can reach over 99%, I think just using that one is enough. So the primary consideration is definitely accuracy. Then there are secondary factors like its response time. Users definitely don't want to wait too long. Actually, for our platform, if we want to attract users now, the main consideration is its readability, or rather, its ease of use. It's about making it look like a game. Our company is planning a hackathon in November, and for that hackathon, we plan to use a game-like format. There will be NPCs inside, and users can find NPCs, exchange information, or exchange resources and use these resources to clear the game. It's like a game. For a startup like ours, the agent needs to have this fun characteristic to attract everyone's attention.
I think you just touched upon a question I wanted to ask about creativity. Whether it's the NPC design you mentioned or the gameplay design for the hackathon, I think they are very novel. And we've chatted before. You are very interested in philosophy. From a philosophical perspective, how do you view the issues of autonomy and responsibility within this system?
What is the definition of autonomy and responsibility, in your opinion?
My personal understanding, autonomy is it makes a judgment about the next action based on the knowledge it already has and then executes it. As for responsibility, before it executes that action, it first determines if it will have a negative impact on others.
I think both are definitely necessary, and responsibility is equivalent to a guardrail. We definitely have them. For example, when it transitions from one state to another state, say from a resting state to an action state, there will be a hook in between that acts as a filter. For example, if the current information is harmful, when it tries to go from resting to action, it will be stopped by this hook and it won't be able to activate the agent. And each agent also has its own guardrails internally. Our system right now is relatively robust in terms of security, but of course we still need to improve each agent, and we already have these guardrails between the states of each agent.
Let me summarize the 2 points we just discussed. Often, we don't necessarily need many agents to do one thing. What's more important is transparency. We need to know why it's doing something and what the effect is. Another point is that responsibility is definitely more important, right? We can't let agents do whatever they want. Otherwise, the system could easily collapse. And I'll add one more point. This transparency can be achieved through blockchain. You can use blockchain and use things like smart contracts to record what it has done before. And it cannot casually modify this record. If it could just modify it, wouldn't it make itself look perfect? But if we use blockchain, it's public and transparent. Everyone can see it. It can't just modify itself to make itself look amazing.
That's really interesting. This is probably the first time I've heard of putting blockchain technology into an AI agent framework. Back at the end of March, it was also the first time I heard it, and I thought it sounded really awesome because I feel AI and blockchain are both very new fields, and he wanted to merge these two fields. I just thought it sounded very promising, so I joined this company.
So, in your understanding, in a real system, what do you think is the ideal balance point between human supervision and agent autonomy? Should we let it diverge and experiment for a while and then we give an evaluation? Or do we need to supervise its every single step?
I don't think we need to supervise every step. I think we should just let it do its thing. If you supervise every step, it won't have any freedom, and it won't be able to innovate. If you let it run on its own for a while and then check back, you might have some unexpected discoveries. It might not achieve the result you originally envisioned, but it might lead to another unknown result. And this result might be more useful than the one you originally imagined. Or even if it's not useful now, it might have unexpected uses in the future. I think you have to let it run on its own for a while. You can't stare at it every step. If you stare at it every step, it's like a head teacher constantly staring at a student. Haha. You have to give it some space for autonomy.
I've observed that Sammo's community on GitHub is growing. Do you think for this kind of open source AI infrastructure, innovation and trust building are very important? And how do you plan to handle this?
We currently have a Discord community with about 100 plus people. And in this Discord community, the founders and others will also speak in it and teach everyone how to use this thing. We don't have many promotion channels right now. Relying on the founder to post on Douyin, and we also posted on Reddit once, and then there's hosting the hackathon, which might attract some developers. We are currently in the late MVP, early PMF, product market fit, so promotion is still in the exploration phase. What we are mainly doing now is building the web application. If we build the web application, when users come, they have to register. After they register, we can monitor user behavior. Our problem now is the open source community. Because it's open source, anyone can clone the date, code or repo. And after they clone it, what do they use it for? How many agents have they built? We don't know how many agents they've built because once they clone it, it's theirs. So this makes it very difficult to tell potential investors what people are doing with our agent. But if we have a web application, we can record these user behaviors. We can know exactly what agents they built and what impact they're having with these agents. We can know all that.
It really is data, especially user data, that's the moat for most companies. Recently, I watched a live stream on Hongshu. It was Thomas, the founder of Hugging Face, doing a sharing. He had a very interesting viewpoint. He said that even though everyone sees that Hugging Face is open source, one shouldn't lightly decide to do open source. Your project, Sammo, is also open source. I'm very curious, what made you decide to take the open source path back then? And in the future, how will you balance intellectual property protection and the open source ecosystem?
From the very beginning, they planned to be open source. Right at the start, around March, when he found me, he said they wanted to do something open source because he has that blockchain mindset that everything should be decentralized. Every developer should have equal ownership of these things. What we want to build is the infrastructure for an AI agent economy. Infrastructure. He wants everyone to have the right to use this infrastructure. So he made it open source. It feels like a highway for the AI agent world. Our future revenue will probably still mainly come from enterprises, although we can get revenue from both enterprises and AI. But for the Agent Devo fans, we probably won't charge them much. The main income still comes from enterprises. For example, our main agent SDKs and stuff are all open source for the agent developers.
Before we met, I had also seen the open source community, or some research papers, academic papers. They were also researching this kind of small simulated society where AI agents coexist. I was very curious. In behavioral economics, when we want to study or evaluate social behaviors, we need to create many complex surveys, find people to do these surveys, and then set up control conditions to see how a future policy might affect group decisions, doing social economics experiments. I think this AI agent framework is actually a pretty good tool to conduct these experiments. There was one very interesting study. They put many agents, like in a small village, and everyone had different jobs. Some were programmers, some were bank employees. In this small society, some behaviors from human society started to emerge. Do you think this kind of AI agent framework can be used for this type of social economics research in the future?
I think it's entirely possible, as long as your prompt is written well enough. This just comes down to the prompt. The prompt is equivalent to giving each agent a personality prompt. This prompt describes the agent's personality. For example, this agent is an engineer, so this agent needs to know Python, know certain things. Each agent's prompt is like a person's personality. Every agent's prompt is different. As long as your prompt is written with enough detail, enough to cover the specific point you want to investigate, I think it can absolutely conduct these surveys. I see no problem, but it doesn't need to include irrelevant information. For example, if it wants to study about, say, engineers, what languages they primarily use. When creating the agent, it only needs to create, for example, what this person's work habits are, things like that. But, for example, their hobbies, it doesn't need to create that. It doesn't need to clone the entire person. It just needs to clone the parts of the person that are useful for the survey. So I don't think the workload is actually that big.
I also hope there will be a research direction like this in the future that can use this AI agent simulated society better to serve us in gaining insights into human social and economic phenomena. Yes. And it can be used for game theory as well. You mentioned before growing in chaos and uncertainty. In that kind of environment, how do you maintain creativity and a sense of stability? In a startup, everyone knows there are many challenges. You might often be in an all-in mindset, doing one thing, and you might neglect other aspects of your life. But how do you strike a balance and how do you maintain that passion?
Not really. All in? I feel like we aren't that busy. The work-life balance is pretty good. I feel like We aren't as tired as the typical startup hustle. I feel like maybe we work a few dozen hours a week and no overtime on weekends. I look at the board, it's pretty balanced because our company, it's not run by founders in their 20s who push you all the time. Our company's co-founders are in their 30s and 40s. They really value work-life balance. It's not that cutthroat. That's one thing. Another thing is about innovation. I think innovation only happens in uncertain environments. If you are in a certain environment, there's already a mature flow for you. What innovation is there? I also know many people at big companies. For example, people working at Meta and Amazon. I just had a coffee chat yesterday with a senior who works at Meta, and that senior said he feels like he's wearing golden handcuffs at Meta. Golden handcuffs means he feels that after working there, it's hard for him to go work at a startup because he feels that big companies and startups are two completely different mindsets. Big companies, they have a very stable workflow. And what you're supposed to do, it's hard to innovate because big companies are mainly product oriented, they're product driven. If you, for example, do research for half a year or a year and it hasn't resulted in a product, they might just cut it. But in a small company, you can constantly trial and error. And the cost of failure is low because, well, you don't have much funding. So the cost of failure is very low. You can constantly innovate. I know many big company people, and according to them, it's hard to have this kind of innovation. And office politics are more important, it feels like. But in a small place like ours, there's no pressure from office politics. And you can innovate, do new things. It feels pretty good. It depends on the individual's lifestyle choice. I feel startups and big companies are two different lifestyles completely.
And startups in different regions, their ecosystems, their work styles are also different. There's a saying in the Bay Area that the Bay Area might be slowly moving towards 996. And I'm thinking it might be better for everyone to maintain a long-term, steady flow mentality. Because after all, entrepreneurship or a career, it's not 10 years, not 15 years, it might be 20 or 30 years. So I think having a certain relaxed feeling, slack, is actually very important. And I think this chaos is very interesting. If the order is too strict, doesn't it just feel like stagnant water? It feels like nothing new can be produced because new things are born from this chaos. It's like the law of the universe. New stars, they are born from the collisions within nebulas. I really like the example you gave. If you could lead the next breakthrough in the agent era, thinking on a macro level, is there one problem you'd want to solve the most?
The problem I want to solve most is I feel agents are still not smart enough. Their collaboration and communication are not efficient enough. That's the problem I want to solve. I want them to collaborate more efficiently like humans. Right now, their collaboration still feels very chaotic. They just find collaborators themselves. But it's always like this at the beginning. Even the beginning is chaotic. Right now, I just want them to collaborate more efficiently. This is also the goal of our platform. We want to provide different agent fleets, agent teams, and let agents uploaded by different agent developers collaborate more efficiently to complete company projects. I think this is an urgent problem to be solved because the efficiency is really low right now. Different agent developers also don't know each other, and the information barrier is very high. What we need now is to break this information barrier and build this AI agent entire ecosystem. I think this is very important.
I learned a lot from this podcast, and thank you very much for sharing. I hope you'll have the chance to come back to my podcast in the future to share, including your company's progress and your personal progress. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that's all for this episode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.